Spurs fans, we now know who the next opponent is. It is the banged up Minnesota Timberwolves. They're just another victim. Whee! Okay, I'll stop. What is up, San Antonio Spurs fans? Welcome to TSR Sports and TGIF. Let's just get into it right away. Let's break down our Spurs versus the Timberwolves. All right, this season, we played them on November 30th and lost 125-112. Fox scored 25, Ant went for 32. Of note, Area 51, Wemby and Stephon Castle did not play. And this was a tough loss. There was a huge fourth quarter comeback in this one for Minnesota. They outscored the Spurs 36-19. Should be of note, Donte DiVincenzo went for 18 in this game. Next game of the season, we played them on January 11th. The Spurs lost a nail-biter, 104-103. Wemby went for 29, Ant went for 23, and Donte went for 19. And why do I keep bringing up Donte? Well, he ruptured his Achilles versus, oh my God, who did this play? Nuggets. Wow, my brain just went, wow, one take TSR. And he's going to be out for the rest of the playoffs. He's going to be out for most of next season. He's out for this year. He's not going to play again this year. So that really sucks. Big loss for the Timberwolves as he has played the Spurs fairly well. And in this loss, another fourth quarter meltdown. The Spurs were outscored 33-18. Wow. We would see the Minnesota Timberwolves again in less than a week on January 17, and the Spurs won this one, 126-123. Wemby went for 39. Ant went nuclear and dropped 55 on our Spurs. And the reason I have Vassell noted out is I didn't realize this until making this video. Devin Vassell was injured in January, so he missed not only this game, and the game before it. The first game in November against Minnesota, he dropped 22. So could Devin possibly be an X factor in this series? Well, speaking of X factors, I think the biggest X factor by far in this series is injuries. Our San Antonio Spurs are coming to the series relatively healthy. Castle has that lingering thumb issue. Barnes a shoulder. Harper was dinged up a little bit against the Blazers, but overall, with 5 days off, it looks like for the most part the Spurs are going to be good to go. Wemby is Wemby. No concerns with Wemby. But as far as the Minnesota Timberwolves, what a bad time to have injuries. First up, Anthony Edwards injured his knee against Denver. He injured it on Game 4 on April 25th. Reports seem to say it's about a 2-week injury, which would make his timetable for return around May 9th, which means he could be back for Game number 4. Now, he's been dealing with a lot of injuries throughout the season, or at least at the end of the season. And even with injuries, Ant is a dangerous player. We saw against Denver. Game number 1, he dropped 38. And in Game 2, he dropped 40. So Ant is definitely a difference maker, even banged up on the court for the Timberwolves. We already talked about Donte DiVincenzo. He's out for the year, ruptured Achilles. Best of luck to him. Get well soon. And then my man, Ayo Dosunmu. I hope I said Dosunmu. I always butcher his last name. Now dealing with the calf injury. And we know calf injuries in the NBA can be dangerous. Our own guys were out for multiple weeks. Wemby missed over, almost a month with the calf injury. Dylan Harper was out for, I think, about 3 weeks. And this just happened. Missed last night. What's his availability going to be for this series? Because he has been very big for the Timberwolves. He dropped 43 in Game 4 and has been playing very well throughout the series. Now, I can only look at the box scores. I didn't watch the series, but at least looking at what he's doing offensively, 22 points per game on 61, 55, 95 splits, which are arcade stats. That's like Y2K or ESPN 2K, whatever game you kids are playing these days. The big thing here, Spurs fans, and Timberwolves fans if you're watching, is what do all of these players have in common besides they're injured? They're all guards. Important parts of the Minnesota Timberwolves guard rotation are injured and or out. That is huge going into next week. Another X factor I'd really like to talk about, that I don't think that gets talked about enough, is this Spurs team that went 1-2 against the Timberwolves. All that was before the All-Star break. And this Spurs team is not the same team as they were back then. Pre-All-Star break, the Spurs team was good. 38-16, 70% winning percentage. Actually, said very, very good. Much better than the 22-60 teams that we had back-to-back a few years ago, right? Post-All-Star break, unstoppable. 24-4. I'm pointing. You can't see me, but I'm actually pointing at this. With the 86% win percentage. You know what 86% win percentage is, guys? That's a pace for a 70-win team. This was a completely different team pre- and post-All-Star break. As we saw Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper, all of a sudden become very, very good three-point shooters. The team was coming together. Not the same team that Minnesota is going to face next week. Minnesota, on the other hand, pretty consistent all year, winning about, I think it was about 60% of their games, but the Spurs definitely have peaked post All-Star break. Now, a little breakdown, my final thought on the matchups, where we have advantages, where they might have advantages. First, the center position. I think they had advantages with the backup. Naz Reid over Luke Kornet. Naz Reid, a former sixth man of the year, so I'll give them the backup center. However, it is apples and oranges when we talk about starting center. Defensively, it's still fairly even. Wemby, Defensive Player of the Year. Rudy Gobert, former Defensive Player of the Year. 4 times, should be 3 times. Not going to get me started there. Maybe. Okay. Anyway. But offensively, these two are on a different planet. Rudy Gobert can score around the rim, and that's about it. Wemby is the most versatile 7'5" player we've ever seen. He can do things that big men should not be able to. So I'm giving advantage Spurs on the big men. As far as forwards, they're a big team. And I do think Julius Randle and Jaden McDaniels are going to give us some trouble in the front court. Champagnie and Vassell a little undersized. I do give the advantage to Minnesota there. Yeah. But with the guard situation right now in Minnesota, with all the injuries to Ant and Ayo and Dante being out, Fox, Castle, and Harper, I think, are going to be the ones that really determine how this series goes. They're relatively healthy. You got the speed with Fox. You got the very physical player with Castle, which right now, injured players do not really want to run into a physical guy. And even though Castle's dinged up himself, he ain't afraid to, throw his body out there. And Harper kind of somewhere in between the two. I think right now, because of the injuries, it's a plus for the Spurs in the guard position. And that is where we get to this. I think the Spurs take the series. No, and I'm putting 2 up here because Anthony Edwards, I think, does affect how the series plays out. I have the Spurs winning 4-1 if Ant does not play at all. And if Ant does play a game or 2, I see the Spurs winning 4 or 3 games. I see us winning 4-2. I think the injuries are just going to catch up to the Timberwolves. All the credit to them for beating Denver last night. Denver pretty banged up as well. Spurs maybe getting a little luck here in the second round with the team that's injured. 4-2 is my prediction if they have Ant. I will say that a healthy Minnesota, because I'm going to give credit where credit is due, a healthy Minnesota, I could easily see this going 6 games, probably 7, but Minnesota is not coming into this series healthy. My friends, the series starts Monday. I want to let you guys know that I will be live for every game, and because we did very well, obviously our best numbers as a channel ever with the first round versus Portland, we're going to do giveaways every game. There'll be 1 giveaway. We'll have a thumbs up goal to get to the giveaway, but the giveaways are going to be bigger than they were in the first round. And that's going to be actually the way we're going to do the rest of the playoffs. Every playoff round the Spurs are in, we'll continue to give giveaways, but the giveaway is going to get bigger than the previous round. And I'll leave it at that. That's my way of saying thank you to you guys. Between the super chats, the ad revenue, I want to give back. And you don't need a membership. You don't need to, you just need to win the trivia, live trivia. That's it. Just be there and, hit the thumbs up and win the live trivia. Be the lucky one. And let's get to the other part of this. Your prediction. What do you think? Spurs in 5, Spurs in 4, Spurs in 6, Spurs in 7. If you're Minnesota Timberwolves, you're like, hold on. Wolves in 5, 6, 7, or 4. I'm very curious on your thoughts. It's going to be a fun series, and this has been such a crazy journey with you guys to go from just all those losing seasons to getting Wemby, Castle, Harper to now being one of the best teams in the NBA and have a legit shot of winning it all this year. On a side note, for those of you that care, for like the 4 or 5 of you, the Slingin' That D script has been run. I needed to written. I needed to storyboard that out. So the storyboard's there. I've got my costumes. I just need to find the time to shoot it. I don't know if it's going to be this weekend. It'll be soon, and I can't wait to get that video up. It's going to be silly. It's going to be fun. I love the song, and I hope whoever that does watch it enjoys it. As far as this video, of course, comment down below. Hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. If you want to support the channel, all that good stuff. And subscribe to become part of our Spurs community. Probably not much content this weekend except for maybe some shorts of the NBA playoffs if I do tune in. I'm rambling. That's all I got. Thank you as always. Go Spurs, go.